ahead of the 50th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination tomorrow, we're taking a new look at his life and his legacy. So we asked prominent voices to share their memories, reflect on the progress toward achieving King's dream of justice and equality for all Americans. Those voices include American pioneers like General Colin Powell, the first black Secretary of State. Loretta Lynch was the first black woman to serve as Attorney General. Six-time NBA champion and MVP Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. California Senator Kamala Harris, the second black female senator in U.S. history. And New Orleans singer-songwriter and hornblower, that's Trombone Shorty.
Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome.
People threw me out of a hamburger joint after I came back from my first tour in Vietnam and had been injured. And all I wanted was a hamburger, and they wouldn't serve me. The whole nation was carrying the burden of discrimination and Jim Crowism. It was holding blacks down, but it was also holding whites down. They knew better. They knew this was wrong.
Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! We are free at last!
I went back to that same hamburger joint on July 4th, 1964, right after the Civil Rights Accommodation Act had been signed. And I asked for my hamburger, and they said, "Yes, sir." And they handed me my hamburger.
Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis.
People were fundamentally afraid of King's message and what it might mean for losses in their own lives. The way that people will cling to their fears as opposed to opening their hearts up to possibilities is something that can never be discounted.
When I met Dr. King, I was involved in a summer mentoring program. And there was a debate going on as to, was his approach better or were other more militant approaches better? Really, the answer was that all people who were concerned about the issues needed to come together and deal with the issues.
Black and white together.
He brought together preachers and rabbis. He brought together people of every walk of life, from every age and race and every geographic region of the country.
His legacy was always about love. And that's what I try to do through my music around the world, just bring love and unity through harmony. Without Dr. King, I'm not sure where we would be today.
I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Seeing that in black and white and seeing all those people together, I felt the spirit hit me, and as I got older, I started to really understand what he meant to us.
I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you.
He achieved so much, but the goals that he identified, we didn't get there.
We're divided by class. We're divided economically. We're still divided racially in some very, very deep and fundamental ways.
What was tragic is that his work was just on the verge of really pushing for the economic justice piece before he was killed.
There are literally two Americas.
Remember, it was the sanitation workers. He was there to stand for their right to collective bargain, for their right to have a workplace that would be safe, their right to have dignified wages. That's what his fight was before he was killed. And that is a fight that remains true today.
I was sitting down with my grandmother and we were watching TV and some of the things that was happening in the world. She said, it's not as bad as it used to be, but it's the same thing. So for me to sit there and see her say that, it's a hard thing.
I was proud as Attorney General to work with both law enforcement and community members who were facing that problem head on. When that communication and trust breaks down, and you see that happening in the case of so many instances of law enforcement violence perpetrated on the minority community, and there being no way to handle that, no way to talk about the competing agendas there that can in fact be very similar.
The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice.
We've got a lot more to do, but I'm sitting here as a son of an immigrant family, black kid, public school education, was able to rise to the top. And the way that was made for me was built a large extent by what Dr. King did and by his great sacrifice. I, Colin Powell. It would have been unthinkable for me to become chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff or Secretary of State. But the trend I see is that America is becoming a more mosaic nation.
Dr. King inspired my music because my music has no color barriers, you know. It's just love. And when you come to my shows, it's very diverse. It's a beautiful thing to be on stage, to be able to watch that happening, everybody getting along. Even if it's for an hour and 30 minutes, you can see what Dr. King was trying to do throughout the world.
Let freedom ring from every hill.
My dream is that we live to achieve Dr. King's purpose. And that includes equality, that is both about racial justice and it is about economic justice.
I think Americans can honor Dr. King's legacy by just having an honest look in the mirror as to what we can all do to not give racism and bigotry the opportunity to get a foothold on our public psyche, on our institutions.
One day.
I hope that 50 years from now, we will all be, again, one people, one nation.
Whether it's the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, the Parkland students, these youth-led movements are really a legacy of the civil rights movement also. King's legacy lives on.
But I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Hearing those stories and telling those stories is so important. I'm with Colin Powell. I hope it doesn't take 50 years for us to be one nation. But he raised a very good point.
It's a powerful, I love that line. There is no color, it's just love.
Let's love, yeah. Need more of that. Tomorrow on CBS This Morning, our special correspondent James Brown will be in Memphis to lead the CBS News coverage 50 years since Dr. King's assassination. We'll be right back.